Can you afford it? Natalie said. Mr. John, afford what? Natalie, to build a church. Mr. John, what? No, I don't know. A church? Then he remembered that he has not seen the lawyer to know what his parents will entail. So he said to Natalie, do you think it's right to call the lawyer now to ask about the will, or will I appear to him like a desperate person? Natalie, what? No, of course not. It's been 3 months since after the funeral. Besides, this is what your parents wants you to do, so waiting is for nothing. Mr. John meets with the lawyer who said I have been expecting you, but I didn't want to disturb you, or portray one that lacks empathy. The lawyer pulls out documents, and Mr. John read and signed. And to his shock he realized that the land the post office rented, the same post office where his father worked, actually belongs to his mom. Hence the check of the uncleared huge sum he saw in his mom's name. He told the lawyer, and the lawyer confirmed that, and said that he can help him clear it as his mom's next of kin. Also, the lawyer said, and oh, the car wash company is leaving? Mr. John replied, so? Lawyer, the land belongs to your father. He instructed that they should not be kicked out unless they decide to leave on their own. Mr. John looked at Natalie and Natalie nods her head. The lawyer takes Mr. John home, collects the check, and goes with Mr. John to clear it at the bank. Mr. John's church plans. 2 months later, Mr. John realized that he now has a land available for the church after the car wash company left, and he also has enough money to build the church. So he talks to the community security chief about his plans. The chief was excited to hear that, and he most of all rejoiced because Mr. John will also be helping widows and orphans. But who will lead the church? The chief asked. Mr. John, I believe what? Chief asked. I believe God will provide, Mr. John said, and the chief said, well, you are here, and we know you can handle this. Mr. John smiled and they parted ways. Pastor John. 9 months after, the church was ready, and Pastor John had graduated from theology school, which he enrolled for while the church was being built. He graduated with a high score and was now ready to lead the church as a pastor. A few weeks later, the first celebration after the opening of the church was Pastor John's wedding with Natalie. It was great news for the community as Natalie was a known nurse and Pastor John's parents were the most popular. So many well-wishers came and also skeptics who wanted to see the new Pastor John. It was a fully packed wedding ceremony. As time passed, Pastor John was doing very well. He preached about God's goodness and told the congregation how God can do everything. The church grew in numbers, and people came from nearby communities, because they said that he is an outstanding pastor, not like most religious leaders that has enriched themselves with the collection from their congregation. He had his own life experience to support his claims. The people marveled on his strength after such a tragedy. God must be with him, they all said. Pastor John gave scholarships, helped the widows with business loans and startups for orphans who had finished college and were ready to take on their career. Everything was going on well until one day, a senior member of the church's daughter was diagnosed with cancer. Favorite Ruth. The 11-year-old child was the church's favorite as she was the kids' music captain. She represented the church in kids' state singing competition. Everyone loved Ruth. On Thanksgiving Sunday, Ruth was brought her Pastor John, and he prayed for her in front of the church and told them that he believes she is fine but nothing happened. As time went by, Ruth's health deteriorated and people started doubting Pastor John. How can he say all these things about God, but yet he cannot help this little child that has made the church proud? Pastor John hoped that the hospital would give the child the best treatment, and she would defeat cancer. That was his belief, but he did not believe in God and does not believe in miracles. He believes that it's enough to believe that the hospital will find a solution. Pastor John was not a believer, he only fed the people what they wanted to digest. But he believed in the church and her benevolence. He did not want to let his mother down. On the 24th of December 2005, it was the church's 3 Christmas Eve, and at this time, more than 30% of the